The movie begins with Jensen Ames, an industrial worker and ex-convict. He learns that the steel mill where he works is shutting down and won't be paying the workers their full wages. Frustrated, the workers begin protesting in front of the industry. As tensions rise, anti-riot police arrive and respond violently to even the smallest provocation. When Jensen sees his co-workers being beaten, he steps in and fights back, taking down a few officers in the chaos. Come on, come on! By the time Jensen makes it home, it's already night. He greets his wife and goes upstairs to check on their baby, completely unaware that a masked intruder has broken into the house. While Jensen is upstairs, the intruder seizes the opportunity and murders his wife in the kitchen. When Jensen comes back downstairs, the man ambushes him from behind and knocks him unconscious. Before leaving, the intruder places the murder weapon in Jensen's hand and makes a taunting shooting gesture with his gloved hand, framing Jensen for the crime. By the time the police arrive, Jensen wakes up to find himself being arrested for his wife's murder. 6 months later, Jensen is transferred to Terminal Island Prison. Upon arrival, he is greeted by guard Ulrich, who sprays him with freezing water and allows another officer to hit him. Jensen is then escorted to a cell shared with 3 other prisoners intent on beating him up. However, when Ulrich returns later, hoping to enjoy the aftermath, he finds Jensen has already knocked all his cellmates out cold. The next morning, Jensen heads to the mess hall for breakfast. He's quietly observed by prisoners Coach, Gunner, and Lists, who recognize him as a former champion driver whose record-breaking career ended in tragedy. The atmosphere suddenly shifts when 2 prisoners, Pachenko and his friend, approach Jensen. They spit on his food and insult him, calling him a wife killer and child abuser. Hearing this, Jensen snaps and attacks Pachenko. Before the fight escalates, guards intervene and drag him away to meet Claire Hennessy, the prison warden. In her office, Claire reveals that she knows all about Jensen's past as a phenomenal driver. She offers him a deal. She wants him to take on the role of Frankenstein, the masked racer in the prison's deadly competition known as Death Race. The real Frankenstein died on the operating table after his last race, but the public doesn't know this yet. Claire intends to keep his death a secret, needing the myth of Frankenstein to live on and revive the show's ratings. She explains that according to the rules, a driver earns their freedom after winning 5 races. Since Frankenstein had already won 4, Jensen would only need 1 more victory to secure his release. Despite the tempting prospect of freedom, Jensen hesitates. Risking his life in a deadly race isn't a decision he takes lightly. But Hennessy won't take no for an answer. She threatens him with solitary confinement to ensure he can't reveal her secret. Left with no choice, Jensen agrees. He is taken to the prison's auto shop where he meets Coach and his team, the mechanics responsible for maintaining Frankenstein's car. They explain the rules. Every team operates independently and there's no helping each other. Jensen also notices a large workshop where Hennessy has been secretly building something for weeks. Only a select few people, including Coach's team and a handful of guards, know that Jensen is the new Frankenstein. Hennessy's control over the prison ensures the secret remains safe. Coach introduces Jensen to Frankenstein's car, a heavily modified Mustang Vate fastback, equipped with an array of offensive and defensive gadgets. However, no ammunition is loaded until race day to prevent escape attempts. Coach tells Jensen that escaping is impossible, as the prison is on an island. The only way out is a narrow bridge, which would be swarmed with police cars and helicopters at the first sign of a breakout. After getting familiar with the car, Jensen joins the team in the prison yard to continue their conversation. Coach explains that the race is divided into 3 stages. In the first 2 stages, the goal is to eliminate as many opponents as possible. In the final stage, speed is the key to crossing the finish line first. Each driver is assigned a navigator, typically a woman brought in from the women's facility. The only exception is Joe, who uses a team member instead and is notorious for replacing his female navigators so frequently that it makes even the audience uncomfortable. Lists begins briefing Jensen on the key drivers in the race. There's 14K, a Triad member and MIT graduate. Then there's Hector Grimm, a certified psychopath who idolizes Hennessy. After that, there's Slovo Pachenko, the Aryan Brotherhood leader, and Travis Colt, a disgraced ex-NASCAR star. Their conversation is cut short when Joe and his crew approach Jensen. They insult him and deliver a message. This race is only between Joe and Frankenstein. Just then, a van returns to the prison from a work area, carrying inmates wearing GPS tracking bracelets. Jensen notices something unusual. He remembers that the man who killed his wife had been wearing one of those same bracelets. The day of the first race stage arrives. Jensen is given Frankenstein's clothes, mask, and even his ring to complete the preparation. His appearance alone draws back the viewers the show had lost. Before the game starts, Coach advises Jensen to avoid talking to the other drivers to maintain Frankenstein's silent mystique. However, he's allowed to remove the mask while in the car, as the windows are mirrored. Case, his navigator, is already in on the secret. As they prepare for the race, Jensen asks Case why she's in prison. She reveals she killed her husband, a cop, because he was abusive. Their conversation is cut short as the race begins. The first lap isn't too violent, as weapons won't activate until the second of the 3 laps. Still, the drivers try to shove each other off the track. Thanks to Case's knowledge of the course, Jensen stays neck and neck with Joe. When Case spots a shortcut, she guides Jensen through it, allowing him to take the lead. Once the second lap starts, Hennessy activates the shields and weapons. Now, drivers must steer their cars over special manhole shitting all 4 wheels to enable their attacking gadgets. Chaos erupts as the race turns into full-scale battle. Hennessy ups the stakes by activating the Death Head's deadly obstacles placed strategically on the track. Grimm uses them to his advantage, killing a minor driver by slamming his car into a trap. He then slows Joe down with oil, temporarily knocking him back. But Grimm's reign is short-lived. 14K takes him out by launching a missile and forcing him off the track. Grimm's car crashes, and Joe finishes him off by running him over. During the race, Jensen tries to activate his machine guns, but they won't work. Case bravely climbs onto the hood to fix it, drawing a hail of bullets from other drivers. Thanks to Jensen's sharp driving, he dodges the gunfire, and Case returns safely to her seat. Jensen steals a defense manhole from Colt, but just like with the real Frankenstein, none of his defense systems work. His rear shield is wearing down quickly under the bullets. Thinking fast, Jensen comes up with a risky plan. He instructs Case to unhook the napalm canister and sit on his lap. Then he ejects her seat now, carrying the napalm which lands on Colt's car. Case follows up by throwing the car's lighter, igniting the napalm and setting Colt's car on fire. With Colt eliminated, Jensen once again faces Joe head-to-head. Suddenly, Jensen notices Pachenko making a familiar hand gesture, the same one the man who killed his wife had made. Distracted, Jensen loses focus. Joe slams into his car, forcing him into last place while Pachenko takes first. By the end of the race, 3 drivers are dead and 6 remain. Back at the garage, Coach and his team inspect the car and find no issues with the gadgets. They're baffled by the failure during the race. Frustrated and suspicious, Jensen confronts Hennessy and accuses her of planning everything. Framing him for his wife's murder, rigging the race, and using Pachenko to lure him into taking over as Frankenstein. Hennessy doesn't confirm his suspicions but counters with a threat. She shows him a photo of his daughter, now in a foster home, and reminds him that if he wants to see her again, he needs to play along in the death race. Unable to do anything, Jensen returns to the yard and chats with Coach. He asks why Coach doesn't wear a prisoner number. Coach explains that he's technically not a prisoner anymore. He qualified for parole 3 years ago. But the outside world had changed too much, and he preferred the familiarity of the prison and its races. Coach also says he doesn't believe Jensen killed his wife. Later that evening, while working on his car, Jensen sees Pachenko walking by and follows him to his team's pit. There, Jensen is ambushed. Pachenko punches him and grabs a heavy tool, intending to smash his head despite knowing Jensen is under Hennessy's protection. Before he can strike, Lists intervenes and stabs Pachenko in the back with a pen. Jensen grabs a metal stick, stabs one of Pachenko's men, and knocks out the others. He then beats Pachenko savagely, throwing him into nearby equipment and slamming him into crates. Finally, Pachenko admits that Hennessy ordered him to kill Jensen's wife and that Ulrich brought him to the house. Just as Jensen is about to deliver a fatal blow, Ulrich and another guard break up the fight and pull him away. The next day, just before the second stage begins, Pachenko taunts Jensen again with the same hand gesture. When the race begins, Jensen deliberately drives slowly and takes a tunnel to have a private conversation with Case. He accuses her of possibly killing the real Frankenstein. "Did you kill the old Frank?" When she hesitates to answer, he threatens to eject her from the car. Case confesses that she sabotaged Frank's rear weapons under Hennessy's orders, lured by the promise of her freedom. The goal wasn't to kill Frank, died trying to win without weapons. Hennessy just wanted him to lose so she could keep exploiting his fame. With his suspicions confirmed, Jensen shifts gears and rejoins the race. Ignoring Joe for now, he targets Pachenko. The two clash on the track, but can't force each other off. Jensen surprises everyone by activating the front-mounted weapons, spinning the car around, and driving backward to fire a barrage at Pachenko's vehicle. After damaging it, Jensen releases a smokescreen, causing Pachenko to crash into a concrete barrier. Jensen steps out and, without hesitation, breaks Pachenko's neck, avenging his wife. Meanwhile, Joe decides to swap out his navigator in the middle of the race. Just then, Hennessy unveils the secret weapon she's been building for weeks. Release the Dreadnought. It's a massive, heavily armed tanker truck dubbed the Dreadnought. Terrifying and unmatched in power, the Dreadnought tears through the track, swiftly catching up to the racers and immediately obliterating two minor competitors. Its sheer size and firepower give it another advantage: it's allowed to enter buildings along the course, enabling it to take shortcuts and reappear at the front of the race. The Dreadnought methodically targets 14K's navigator and tortures him before using chains to grab 14K's car and fire at it until it bursts into flames. With only Jensen and Joe remaining, the race seems impossible to win without a plan. Jensen asks Lists to connect his communicator to Joe's car. The two rivals agree to form an alliance. Working together, they flank the Dreadnought, dodging its relentless attacks. When they reach a trap manhole, both drivers hit it with two wheels, activating the trap and causing the Dreadnought to crash into it. With the behemoth disabled, the second stage ends. Only Jensen and Joe advance to the final race. Later that evening, Joe approaches Jensen in the pit, noting that Jensen's voice sounds suspiciously like Frank's. Meanwhile, Hennessy and Ulrich decide Jensen must be eliminated in the final game. The next day, just before the race begins, Ulrich secretly places a bomb under Jensen's car, while Hennessy distracts everyone with a motivational speech. She speaks of purpose and glory, adding that this could be the first time someone wins their freedom with a fifth victory. Jensen realizes something disturbing. Hennessy has rigged the races all along to eliminate anyone who could win 5 times. No one has ever reached that milestone, not because they failed, but because the system was manipulated to stop them. Like all the others before him, Jensen knows he won't be allowed to win either. Coach hears Jensen's realization and shows him a crucial detail from a video of Grimm's death. This sparks an idea. Jensen asks List to install a half-gallon reserve tank in his car. He then visits Joe's pit to propose another collaboration. While Jensen changes into Frank's gear, Hennessy visits him with his release papers and a new offer. If he wins, she wants him to stay in prison as Frankenstein to keep the legacy alive. She argues that an ex-convict like him wouldn't be able to provide a good life for his daughter, and that staying in the race would be the ultimate selfless act of love. Jensen accepts the papers but says nothing, slipping them into his pocket. As Jensen prepares for the final race, Case reveals that Hennessy also spoke to her, asking her to stop Jensen if he were about to win. Jensen, however, isn't worried. When the race begins, Ulrich manipulates the manholes so that only Joe can activate his gadgets. He then opens fire on Jensen, damaging his rear shield severely enough to force him to drop it. But Joe knows how to dodge such attacks, having learned from Frank's old strategies. Hennessy, eager to keep the audience engaged, activates a defense manhole for Jensen, but Joe counters with a rocket that destroys it. Joe launches another rocket, but Jensen skillfully dodges, letting it slam into a wall, the same weak spot where Grimm died. It's part of the plan. The rockets blast a hole in the wall large enough for both drivers to escape. Rather than racing for victory, Jensen and Joe have engineered a final act of rebellion, escaping the prison and breaking free from the system Hennessy controls. In a fit of rage, Hennessy ends the stream and orders every available cop to pursue Jensen. She then presses the detonator for the bomb hidden under his car. But the plan fails. Coach and his crew have already removed and deactivated the bomb. Jensen and Joe race toward the bridge as police cars close in. It's time for the final part of their escape plan. Jensen releases the half-gallon reserve tank he had prepared earlier. The tank hits the pursuing police vehicles, causing a massive explosion that creates a fiery wall behind them, blocking the path of any more pursuers. They make it across the bridge and split onto two different roads to confuse the helicopters following them. The choppers focus on Jensen, the most important target. Meanwhile, Case agrees to help with the final stage of the plan. She feels she owes it to Frank, and since Hennessy already gave her release papers, she's confident they'll let her go once it's over. As the car drives past construction cranes, Jensen takes the opportunity to leap out and hide beneath their shadows. Case takes the wheel and continues driving until helicopters force her to stop with a wall of fire. She steps out, hands raised, wearing Frank's clothes and mask. Now she has taken Frankenstein's place, leaving everyone confused. Her arrest ensures Jensen's identity remains hidden. While Case is taken back to prison, Jensen successfully escapes and reunites with Joe. The two board a train together, leaving the chaos behind. Back in the prison office, Ulrich opens a congratulatory gift box, only to find it contains the same bomb he had planted under Jensen's car. Just then, it detonates, killing both Ulrich and Hennessy in the explosion. Outside, Coach is seen activating the detonator, ensuring the two corrupt figures are taken down. 6 months later, Jensen and Joe have settled in Santa Rosalia, Mexico. They've started a new life together, running their own auto shop as mechanics. Jensen has regained custody of his daughter, and everything seems to have fallen into place. Case, now free after her release papers were processed, visits them. She brings a racing car for them to check out. Comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification to notify you when we post another recap. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next recap.